the giants has only just begun. Captain Dave is on the bridge with a salty stare. There's a heavy scent of diesel in the humid air. He looks across the harbor at the shiny hulls, ignoring all the tourists and the screaming gulls. He says, stop fishing for boats and find the deep. There are promises for ocean that we have to keep. Oh, turn the handle, Randall, let the drag just scream. Living out of Cabo San Lucas fishing dream. They hate people with suntans and smiles on their face, but we're finding our freedom in this liquid space. Turn off the news, they're all lying to you anyway. We're out here killing fish at the breaking of the day. He's got a hot dog on a stick and a story to tell.
All right, gang.
Navigating through the
Phenomenal song. I love that song.
Yep. I've almost got all of it learned now.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal song. But hey, gang, you guys are in store for a great show today. We got Kevin and we got Michael and Your Saltwater Guide, and we're sitting here watching Chapter 12, which is all about conservation and all about saving our industry. And we got the man, Michael Folks. He put this whole history of sport fishing together, and it is an absolute phenomenal docu-series. Anybody that hasn't seen it yet, you've got to go check this thing out in its entirety. We've been watching half of one show and then half of the next show each week. We've been doing it, breaking it in half so that we can answer all your questions. And I hope that a whole bunch of you got together and got some questions for Michael, because this is an absolute incredible series.
Biggest question I get asked right off the bat is, where can I see it? And it's Prime, Google, YouTube, Apple TV, Vimeo, Fossum, Roku. It goes on. It's just about every streaming platform you probably subscribe to. You can find it in there. So
it is streaming everywhere now. When we first started talking about it 2 years ago, when Michael and I started talking about it before Kevin became part of the family, we were selling it and we were sharing it with you guys and stuff. And now look at everybody bought into this thing now, and you can't miss it. It's streaming anywhere you stream. You're going to stream the history of sport fishing.
And I just looked real quick, and your Inside Sport Fishing channel as well. You've hit a big milestone now. I don't know if you've looked.
Yeah, we did. We hit 1,000 subscribers. And
you're over 1,000 now.
First couple of months, and some of the episodes that Elliot's been posting are hitting 400,000 or 500,000 views on Facebook, and it's pretty cool. I'm really proud to see the Inside Sport Fishing series kind of take on a new fresh breath after all those years. So it's pretty cool seeing it streaming 24/7 on YouTube. And again, it's free. So just log on, like it, subscribe, and make a difference.
Well, and every 24 minutes there's a brand new episode?
Every 22 minutes. Yep, every 20. If you don't like what you're going to see, and just hang on, it's going to change every 22 minutes.
Well, and as someone who missed it, essentially the first go around, if you will, I love that I get to watch it. So thank you for putting that up and making it available.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. I look back on it, some of that stuff we've done 30, 40 years ago, it's just still amazes me at how many places we went and how many shows we actually produced from pretty much around the world, both fresh and saltwater. So it's been a fun adventure for me, getting to look back on it and seeing it now just streaming without having to think about it,
And Kevin, the thing I always talk about, and I know you know what I'm talking about, is everybody in the industry, whether they want to admit it or not, wanted to be on this show. It was the show. It premiered what we do for a living on a daily basis. And you got to see the way the show is told, the Inside Sport Fishing. You got to see inside. You got where no one had ever seen before. No one had ever touched it before. Michael was up in the wheelhouse. Michael was talking to the guys, talking to the captains that I idolized at the time when I was a little kid. he was in the bridge with them talking where when we were kids, you
Couldn't
didn't
go-
go up in the bridge.
Yeah, Coast Guard regulations. You can't go up in the bridge.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, as deckhands, we didn't
Yeah.
go up in the bridge because nothing good happened up there.
Yeah, if you're working,
you get to pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
if you're working the deck, you do not want to be called up into the wheelhouse ever.
Nope, it's not a good thing. And you didn't make yourself available. You didn't just show up there. Oh, here I am. Because you knew back in those days. Nowadays, they wouldn't do anything they do today. But back then,
Didn't ask for permission. I just begged for forgiveness.
yeah, and there was times where you were like, I hope they don't find me.
Also, you were mentioning the history of our sport, primarily in Southern California. Elliot just posted the very first fishing film I ever did. It was called The Ultimate Challenge. And he posted it in its entirety. I think it's 27 or 30 minutes long. It's on YouTube, and it's called The Ultimate Challenge. And it's basically a long-range trip with Frank Lopresti. And it was my first long-range trip. And I was like a deer in the headlights. I mean, I could hardly breathe getting on that boat. And finally, after a couple of days, Frank called me up to the wheelhouse and was asking me what I was planning on doing. And we got to chatting, and I asked him what his favorite fish was. Well, obviously, it's going to be a giant tuna, we're fishing cows or wahoo. And he goes, no, I like to fish calico bass. And I just was shocked. I went, what? I fished calico bass my whole life. And here's the goat of the Southern California long range fleet, Frank Lopresti, telling me that on his days off, and his favorite fish is the calico bass, or to go freshwater bass fishing. So he kind of opened up my eyes to a whole nother world that I pretty much had grown up doing, but had always idolized the cow tuna guys and, the long rangers. And that's all I wanted to do was go fish big tuna. And when he said calico bass, I went, oh, okay.
And when you're kids and you hear that, you're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe there is something to this calico bass. And it is those like my father, right before he passed away. What was his thing that he wanted to do more than anything? He wanted to go fly line a bait and catch a calico.
Yep.
And we did it. We went on the boat. We fly line. Me and my deckhand Mike, we held him up. He casted the bait out at Abalone Point in Laguna. He casted a bait out. Him and Fletcher.
Oh, they could have shows. Dark.
We're on the boat together, and oh my God, I had made it. I was there, and we held up my father, and he casted a bait out. He caught a calico.
Whew.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
It was the ultimate, and it's like you said, Michael Frank Lopresti. You want a cow too? No, I want a calico bass. I want a calico.
Yeah, I was shocked. We were 2 days into a 16-day trip on our way down the Baja, and he was talking about calico bass, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with this guy?
But it's always
right. He was right the whole time. I've evolved from calico bass to spotted bay bass now. I'm loving the spotted bay bass as much as any fish I've ever caught.
And it's always in a calm area.
Yep. And it's so hard to get them to entice to bite. Some of freshwater bass, it really takes some skill to get these bass to bite. So.
And I can't wait till we get Kevin out here in California and get him out in a calico bass bite. He's going to be blown away.
It's so cool. Hey, now listen, on that video you posted the other day, you said these are all bass on this rock. They did not look like bass.
No, they were.
Were they? All
yeah,
right.
it was the 12 or the 8 fathom rock in front of Dana Point where you and I have fished many times. Those were calicos.
All right. Somebody posted to me and said, "Hey, Dave's just he's stringing us along here saying those are calico bass." And I said, "Well, if he says they are, I'm going to believe him." And he goes, "No, they can't be bass. Those are yellowtail." And I went, "No."
Oh yeah, they were calicos. They were all stacked up on that thing.
On that rock. It was pretty cool in the middle of nowhere, just this endless bottom of nothing, and you find that one little rock.
And they're just thicker than snot there. Me and Adam Cargill, the captain of the Castigo, we just had the most phenomenal day of bass fishing. And Adam, he's like Frank Lopresti or Pete Grossbeck or Steve. He gets to fish all over the place, and it all comes back to going calico bass fishing.
Yeah.
It's the thing. It is the thing that allures us the most. And yeah, the freshwater bass thing does too. It's just kind of the same thing, but it's in the ocean. And
I'll tell you what, I'll come back out to Cali and I'll bring my my raft and I'll row you guys around and we'll make a big day out of it.
There you go.
All right.
We'll go fish inside of Michael's Harbor.
Yep, go fishing up in Newport. I love it.
That's a great place to do what you're talking about.
I took Doug Kern and Ricky out in San Diego down there, and they were always fishing the sand bass and the calicos there at the entrance, you know, across from the bait receiver and doing that whole drift coming in from the point. And after we did that for a few hours, I said, hey, let's go back into the mooring fields and into some of the docks and try this. And they go, what are you talking about? And I said, watch. So we get back in there and I start throwing the 6-pound stuff and they just went, oh my God. It was like a whole other world. And it just went from calicos and sandies to all spotties. And it's completely different fishery. I mean, completely different fishery. It's all about that presentation and the bite. And all it is just a tick. You just feel the tick and you got to set it or it's over. Ultra thin wire hooks, no barbs, 6-pound string, soft tapered rod, straight floral. Great fish.
It is such a cool fishery, and it's available to anybody and everybody.
You can rock along the boardwalk, and you know, you walk on the docks and catch them. You know, it's just fun fishing the pilings.
It's available to everyone.
Yep.
And the fishery in Southern California is alive and well. Don't believe all the hype. It's not the end of the world. There's nowhere where there's no fish. They're everywhere. So don't buy into the garbage. And speaking of garbage, why don't we take a look at this show?
I don't even pick up on some pollution.
Yeah, why don't we look at how we used to treat our ocean? We don't treat it like this anymore, but you'll be appalled when you watch this. And then from where we've come from where we are today.
Yeah.
And anybody, like I keep saying, and Michael says it, and if anybody has any questions, comments, you want to know anything about any of the shows that you've been watching on Inside Sport Fishing or the history of sport fishing, just let me know. And Gingy, tips for yellowtail fishing at Catalina. There's only one place to go, YourSaltwaterGuide.com. I know maybe what's hanging you up is the $9 a month. You get 7 free days to look at it. I know $9 is a huge amount of money when you're thinking fishing in the ocean. You got to spend $9 whole for a month. But if that's holding you back, give me a call at 949-374-0786. I'll let you look at the website for free, and you tell me if you think it's worth $9. But that's where you're going to get the tips on where to catch yellowtail at Catalina. And anybody that follows what we tell them to do seems to catch fish all the time.
Dave, talk to me a little bit real quick before we go to the show. Talk to me a little bit about when you talk about fishing Catalina Island. It's a huge island. I don't know how many miles around the coastline, but I guess it's close to 100. And I mean, there are dozens and dozens of spots to fish calicos. But every one of those spots on that island, both on the front side and the back side, every one of those spots, the conditions are determine the bite. So not only can you give somebody the location and the numbers, but you've also given them the depth that they want to anchor up in, what to look for, how to check the drift, what to check on the current. I mean, there's so many subtleties that you give people in terms of the locations to fish that are above and beyond a number. And I think that's where the value is. That's a lifetime's worth of experience that you're putting into I mean, come on. 10 years ago, you wanted to do this and everybody in the industry just crawled all over you. Shut up. Hanson, what's wrong? You're giving away all our spots, you know? So, but it's so much more than just a numbers game when you're especially.
The crazy thing is, Michael, I made these videos back in 1987 with Danny Jackson.
Yeah.
And they're the same spots.
I know.
They haven't moved them.
Those rocks haven't moved.
They're the same spots. And then what happened was Mark Wish wrote a book with all the numbers in it after we got done doing the video series. And then West Marine came out with a laminated chart with all the numbers in it. None of these spots are secrets, but how to fish them is a secret.
Yep.
And if you don't have someone holding your hand, teaching you how to. The number one thing I think that blows everyone's mind when I talk to them is when I get down to the brass tacks about anchoring. You wouldn't believe, I have over 5,000 members on the website, and before they met me, they were scared to death of the anchor. Terrified. If I put the anchor down, I'm not going to get it back. If I put the anchor down, I'm not going to. If you don't put the anchor down, now I'm not talking Benny Florent. I'm not fishing the way Benny fishes. I'm not fishing the way Jimmy Decker fishes. I'm taking people that don't have the skill level of casting a rubber lure all over the world and bouncing around and hitting the spot and then hitting the spot and hitting the spot. I'm teaching you how to drop your anchor on the rock and then catch a fish every time you throw your line in the water.
And I think the key is you're not dropping that hook on the spot. You're dropping it up or behind or on the side. You're figuring out where the boat's going to end up, and that's where you want to. The boat needs to end up over that rock, where you can make the bait presentation. You don't want to drop the anchor on top of the rock. You're going to end up, 80 feet away from it. So you talk about all that stuff in detail, Dave. So if anybody's hesitant about spending $9 for a month, you got to check your you got to check in with somebody.
And that was the thing I'm thinking too is, with your site, Captain Dave, you are truly getting the G out of your saltwater guide. You are getting guided.
Yep.
And, when you think, I know we kind of joke about it, the $9 a month or whatever, but, truly put that in context. It is in where I'm living, it is not unheard of at all to charge $400 or $500 for a day float. And that's one day. You're getting decades of knowledge and tips and tricks and everything for, you can't even buy a packet of bait for $10, so the amount of guiding that you are getting from your site it's unmatched. It just is.
It really is, especially for Southern California and Mexico. I mean, some of the stuff that you put out there, Dave, is, I thought I knew a lot about fishing. I listened to your stuff and I go, God, I'm an idiot.
Well, Gingy's, he's mentioning again, he tried a couple of spots and I promise you haven't checked out my website. Now, the website is different than the 7 billion videos I put out a day on social media. It's totally different. The 7 billion videos I put out on social media, we call that chum. That is to get you to go over to the website
and bite
and get on the hook for $9. I know, $9 a month. I don't understand where the resistance is. You're saying I need tips on yellowtail. Dude, you haven't checked out the website, because if you checked out the website, I have 12 videos dedicated strictly to yellowtail fishing. That's it. And it's going to teach you how to catch a yellowtail when you're not catching yellowtail. But when you're catching wide open calico bass and you're actually on the spot and you're anchored up, your next bait's going to be a yellowtail or a white sea bass.
Yep.
You don't know which next bait's going to be, but your next bait's going to be. And the other thing, if you haven't checked it out, it's free for 7 days. We're not going to gang, I'm not trying to get a house payment off of your membership. I promise you that. But here's my deal. I went with you on your boat for a long, long time as a guide. And nowhere else on the planet Earth, now people are doing it, but they're doing it illegally. But I would go with you on your boat for the day. You didn't have to hire me full time. I went with you for the day. Teach you how to use your photometer. Our quote unquote fish finder. There's no such thing as a fish finder, but we'll call the machine a fish finder because that's what you guys think it is. So, but it's actually a photometer. But teach you how to use your photometer, teach you how to use your compass, teach you how to use your radar, teach you how to use your GPS. That's gold right there. That's worth $9 a month right there. I charge $1,000 a day though to come out on your boat for 10 hours. That's what I charge. If you want me to come with you, it's $1,000. Now, a guy invited me out yesterday. I'd never heard of him before. Don't know who he is. He invited me to come out on his boat and teach him how to fish. And he said he would take me fishing for free. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I go, you don't understand what I do for a living. And I got some really cool friends that'll take me fishing for free. They will. And they're not going to charge me. Crazy. But yeah, you guys got to check it out and call me 949-374-0786. And that's going to get you there. And I'm going to take care of you the whole way. And the other thing that blows people's minds, Michael, is I let my guys call me in the morning when they're sitting at the dock and we dial in their fish finder. I'm at my house in Cabo San Lucas, but I'm talking to them on the telephone and we're dialing in their fish finder and we're telling them what buttons to push and all the different things that you need to do to be successful when you go out on your private boat. I'm going to help you every step of the way for $9.99 a month. I don't know who else is doing that, but if they are, and if they are doing that, I would be on their website tomorrow because that's a killer deal to learn how to use all the stuff that you spent millions of dollars on. That
and you get into the subtleties too. Once you learn how to read the numbers, then you get to read the water. You teach us how to read the water, how to apply those numbers to the conditions that you're sitting in at that time.
It's pretty amazing, right?
And underneath the boat. So important.
It's just amazing how many things that we can actually help you with.
Yeah.
I'm messing up on this picture. I don't know how I got to where I'm at right now, but oh my gosh, so much stuff's happening on the screen here. I don't know. All right, there we go. We're back.
All right.
Okay, so I don't know what happened. Are you guys seeing it all stacked up on itself?
Nope, it's the three of us are split.
Okay, good. I just got it. I just want to make sure I'm going to play this video the right way. So we'll go into this video and watch it. And while we're watching it, gang, if you have any questions about how Michael put this together, or you want to know, Kevin, if you want to know, don't wait. Gingy, call me. You don't even have to buy the damn thing. You don't have to buy it. Call me on the telephone. I'm probably going to do it soon. John Stanley or Dave Burris or somebody, help him out. Tell him I am the real deal. I promise you, you don't want to wait. Why do you want to wait? Why do you want to go out there and burn some more fuel and catch nothing again on another day and just keep doing that? Call me. I got you. I promise. Here we go.
Different companies that were all illegally dumping their commercial waste. And he won every single case. Those lawsuits and raised testimony before Congress helped lead to the establishment of both the landmark Environmental Protection and the Clean Water Acts. From its inception, the BASS, Anglers Sportsman Society, united bass fishermen across the U.S. into an unprecedented force for good. And Mr. Scott used that power to save the two resources that the organization was built upon: clean waters and healthy fish. BASS has over 500,000 active members, making it the largest angling organization on the planet. Today, they continue to expand their conservation efforts across the country. Like the black bass, salmon, steelhead, and trout, have a long history of critical environmental efforts being made on their behalf. Multiple scientific assessments over the past 2 decades by tribal, federal, university, and state agency scientists and researchers have concluded that the solution must include extensive dam removal. hydroelectric dams were built across the country dating back to the early 1900s. These massive structures impede natural migration across the spawning habitats of these fish. Besides impeding the physical passage of fish, reservoirs behind the dams slow the flow of water, causing water temps to rise to levels that are lethal to salmon and steelhead. More than $16 billion have been invested to ameliorate the efforts of the Columbia River Basin hydro system on fish and wildlife. Yet these stocks are still barely hanging on.
Whether you're an angler, whether you're just a rural landowner, a business owner, a guide, an outfitter, maybe you own a restaurant, I think that now is the time for all of us to come together and start having truly sincere conversations of what is needed.
We have to start thinking about coming together because we love the fish, because we love the area, because we love the river. We have to start thinking about those things in common.
Trout Unlimited was founded in 1959 on the principle that we all have a responsibility to conserve, protect, and restore America's cold water fisheries so that our children can experience the joy of wild and native trout and salmon. They believe the best conservation work comes from true partnerships between landowners, agencies, nonprofits, and local stakeholders. Now, over 300,000 members strong, TU is leading the effort to remove 4 major dams along the lower Snake River, which runs through 6 states and contains 50% of the total spawning habitat in the lower 48 states that trout and steelhead must have to survive. Thanks in large part to their work, between 2020 and 2021, 57 dams have already been demolished. In November of 2022, the U.S. Federal Regulatory Commission approved a $500 million plan for the removal of 4 major dams along the Northern California and Southern Oregon sections of the Klamath River. This will be the largest salmon habitat restoration project ever undertaken and will open up 400 miles of rivers and tributaries, much of which have been blocked to these endangered species for over a century.
The first step to restoration. There's no point in doing restoration anywhere else if you don't get the dam out of the river.
The goal of the project is to remove 4 old hydroelectric dams and open up about 450 miles of fish habitat upstream of the lowermost dam. This is the largest river restoration and dam removal project that's ever been undertaken.
We're looking at about 2,200 acres of restoration between the 4 reservoirs.
You can imagine the complexities that come along with an undertaking like this. With the Renewal Corporation and their dam removal contractor removing the dams, and then the company I work for, Res, following up with the restoration of the reservoir footprints and some key priority tributaries. There have been people that have devoted their lives to dam removal on the Klamath River, and I'm eternally grateful to them. And I want all those folks to know that this is real. This is happening, and it's being done by people that really, truly care.
We believe that humans are part of this world, that we're part of this landscape, that we belong here. We're not just restoring this earth or this ground, we're restoring our people as well, our tribal members. We've been doing this since the beginning of time. It's what we were placed here to do. This is the conversation for this project. This is the conversation for dam removal. We've always been fighting to restore the balance of this ecosystem. And the 50,000 foot view of what's happening here, this is a project that heals our entire ecosystem.
And in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever had more hope for the future than I do now.
And we're getting ready to go do a little lingcod fishing today, so I'm going to use some of this 60-pound fluorocarbon, the GT4. Super abrasion resistant. It's going to handle those big teeth on those lingcod. We're going to drop down some live deception jigs, see if we can't get a couple of nibbles. We will let you know later, but gang, you must have some of this GT4 fluorocarbon connected between your braided line and your lure. Somewhere between your braided line and your lure, you're going to want to have some fluorocarbon. Super important. So check it out. GT4 fluorocarbon. Go to Promar Ahi USA. When you're over there, put in the code YSWG and the number 20, and that'll save you 10% on your next order of GT4 fluorocarbon. All right.
In the vast Great Lakes region, it is invasive species and pollution that are the greatest threats to these fisheries. Containing over 20% of the Earth's surface fresh water, the Great Lakes provide drinking water for more than 30 million people and habitat for a vast array of fish and wildlife. Over the past 2 centuries, extensive habitat loss, colonialization by non-native species, and pollution have severely impaired water quality and reduced fish and other wildlife populations to near terminal levels. The damage from aquatic invasive species in these waters is expanding because they have no natural predators. Just miles from the entrance to the Great Lakes swims what fish biologists call the single greatest threat to our freshwater fisheries, the Asian carp. Considered a delicacy in the Far East, but much less so here in the U.S., due to the general misconception that they are bottom feeders and therefore not as tasty as other fish. But Asian carp actually feed on surface plant matter, primarily algae, and are a tender, white fish with excellent flavor. Pound for pound, they are one of the healthiest fish to eat in terms of protein and alpha-omega fatty acids, second only to Atlantic salmon. In an attempt to encourage anglers to pursue them as a game fish and table fare, the Federal Great Lakes Restoration Initiative came up with a clever promotional campaign based on the idea, if you can't beat 'em, eat 'em, which includes a new name for the copious fish. They are now being called Kopi.
There's a definite need for cheap protein in the world, and this fish is very plentiful, very sustainable. This fish could potentially feed a lot of people that are in need in this country as well as other countries.
I would say that people are universally surprised. After they've had Asian carp and then you tell them what it was, they had no idea that's what they were eating. They would have assumed it to be, crab cake or a tilapia. It's very good.
It tastes good.
That's not that Asian carp, is it?
That's exactly what it is.
If you can treat the Asian carp as a resource instead of a pariah, you could affect change throughout food insecure communities and then turn this problem into a tasty solution.
It's surprising that Asian carp could turn out to be a blessing.
For many years, conservation management of freshwater resources far exceeded efforts being made in marine environments. Today, however, saltwater fisheries are becoming some of the most studied environments in the world.
It took until, maybe somewhere around 1850s for the first billion people to be on this earth. Today we got 8 billion. So the impact that has on the ocean, on the lakes, on the streams, it's huge. So we've got to be cautious, we've got to be concerned, we've got to be focused on how do we protect all that. Well, you're not going to bring back the marine resource to where before the population explosion. We're never going to get it back to what it was 100 years ago. But the reality is, through fisheries management, through size limits and seasonal limits, restrictions on commercial fisheries, many of the inshore fisheries in the United States are actually in much better shape today, according to the National Marine Fisheries Service, than what they were 15 years ago and 10 years ago and 5 years ago, to ensuring that there's a healthy resource in the future and a viable sport fishing community in the future. A big part of that answer is that we find the right environmental organizations, the right NGOs to partner with, that we can collectively, we can get them involved in some of these efforts that we're already involved with, in hatchery efforts, grass planting efforts, and helping to look after the fish. That will be a big step in ensuring that we have a fishery in the future and the fishermen have access to the fishery, and that this life that we live, that it can continue to be lived by our kids, our grandkids, and others in the future.
You see the little fist bump there? I don't know what words could possibly honor the courage that these kids have shown us today, other than to ask on their behalf for your help in supporting Fish for Life in any way that you can. Help bring this unique opportunity to special needs children throughout this incredible country of ours. And remember, we all share one planet, so make a difference. Be the difference. Give back a little bit of what you have to those that need it the most.
Every year since the beginning of mankind, if this is a graph, every year the amount of seafood, the amount of protein that mankind took out of the ocean continued to rise. Okay? At the same time, the population explosion has continued and continued and continued and keeps to continue. Well, we get to the mid-1980s, what happens is Mother Nature cannot produce any more protein. So the amount of seafood that mankind takes out of the ocean, it leveled off. So we got 3 billion more to feed, many of them reliant on protein out of the ocean. And Mother Nature, she's done. She can't produce anymore. So this triangle here, this area, how are we filling that up? Because people are still eating. They're eating seafood that is raised in pens in other countries. Other countries like Vietnam, like China, areas that don't care a whole lot, like we would in this country, about the safety of that food. And for us in the fishing world, we're concerned about, don't care a whole lot about the impact that they're having on the environment around them. Why we're not doing it in this country is crazy. It's beginning to change. There's legislation that's beginning to be looked at that can help us figure out how to catch up in this world with aquaculture. More and more of the environmental community are understanding that, hey, there's people starving in this world. They need more protein. They understand that one of the real environmental problems that we have in this world, increasingly so as population growth, is going to be water. It's going to be fresh water. And the fish that you raise in pens in the ocean require a fraction of the amount of water that is used to raise beef or chickens or protein from land. And so you look at the real environmental issues around aquaculture versus protein raised on land, and you start to understand, well, wait a sec here, why aren't we doing more of this? More of the environmental communities are beginning to see that. And more will continue, and in the future, this country is going to have a much greater, in fact, we will end up with a huge amount of aquaculture in this country. Our country, food source, jobs will be better off for it. At the Hub-Sewell Research Institute and other areas, we've already developed feed that can use remnants from fish processing plants, where you can take the bones and the entrails and the stuff that you're not going to use to eat. It has the same protein sources as the fillets, and soy products. Soy products can produce the protein that the fish that you're raising for them to be healthy. So there are solutions. So let's get on with using those solutions in this country. And one of the things I'm most proud of the Hub-Sewell Research Institute, it is currently just beginning to develop the Center for Excellence for Marine Aquaculture here in the United States, right in Carlsbad, where the white sea bass hatchery is. Scientists from the federal government, scientists from other marine institutes can come and collectively work on developing what are the best, most reliable, most environmentally appropriate and safe, healthy ways to raise fish in the ocean to feed mankind. Nobody's done that anywhere in the world. The country that ought to do that first is the U.S. The place that is really set to do it, focused on doing it, is the Hubsula Research Institute.
When I was at
Michael, I just wanted to stop this for a minute. You hear?
Yes, sir.
When you were talking to me last year or whatever about those carp, and you were talking about how those would fill such a void. I've been thinking about it ever since we were talking about it. You are absolutely correct. That is such a high level of protein, and it's available on all these bodies of water. Well, what do you think it is? Why do you think that there's such a disconnect from that being food?
Well, the fish look retarded to begin with, so, you know, and everybody thought originally when they saw those crazy ass looking fish that they were all just bottom feeders and they were just eating all the garbage and all the crap that's in the bottom of the lakes. And it turns out they're absolutely the opposite. They're algae feeders. They're feeding on really healthy plankton and stuff that's in the water. And if you, those clips that we showed, if you serve that to someone and they don't know what it is, they think it's delicious. So it's really a mindset that was established years ago when they just thought these were garbage fish that came in from the east. And they really haven't realized what a phenomenal source of protein these fish are. So hopefully that transition is ongoing and that people are starting to embrace the fish as a good, you know, it's treasured in the east as a delicacy. We're the only culture that thinks it's a garbage fish, and it's not. If you've tasted it, it's as good as any freshwater fish I've ever had. So
well, and that's probably part of it too, is they are oftentimes considered an invasive species.
Right.
And so as soon as you put the label invasive or trash fish or bottom, you know, it's a mind thing. But, you know, just like the one clip that we just saw, I don't think I've seen any other kind of carp go jumping 10 feet out of the water.
No.
You know, they are very active fish. And the other side of it is, okay, they're invasive, which means there's a ton of them, which means there's a great supply. Go get them and feed yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Tommy Gomes said, we've interviewed him several times. Michael and I have had him on the show when
that's awesome.
And Tommy is an absolute plethora of knowledge about what to eat and how to eat it. And he says the uglier the fish, the better it tastes. And that,
I love that. I haven't heard that before.
And it's,
well, I can't remember if we said it, on air or if we talked about it otherwise, but okay, tarpon are beautiful, tarpon are beautiful fish, but you're not going to eat it.
Nope.
You know, so a very pretty fish doesn't equal very tasty.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
Those Asian carp are, I think it's going to really help a lot of people in the need of protein, cheap protein.
And Dave Burris, our Michael talks about it in the history of sport fishing. They're changing the name, which is going to be the best thing because, like the Patagonian toothfish, no one would have ever bought the Patagonian toothfish, but they changed the name to Chilean sea bass.
Yeah,
and now
that's one of the number one selling seafoods in major restaurants.
And it's not even, there's no such thing as a Chilean sea bass. There isn't.
You made it up.
They made up the name, just like they're going to do with this carp, and you're going to find out that the people will eat it.
Yep.
Just like another fish that blows my mind is tilapia, and people stand in line to buy it.
Yep.
And those
are fertilizer fish.
Yeah, well, they were made to eat solid poo and people eat them. They stand in line to buy them at the market. So There is hope, and we're going to get to the point where you'll be blown away. In 10 years, you're going to be eating those going, I'm eating
really good.
What are they calling them now? What are they calling them, Michael?
Kopi.
Yeah, you're going to be standing in line to eat Kopi. Watch.
Yeah. Well,
Jason just made a fantastic comment, and it's so true that the ocean and the woods are a great grocery store.
Yes, sir.
Eat the fish that you catch. If you're a hunter, That is some of the most clean meat you're going to find, you know? So yeah, I think we've got a lot of the hunger solutions right in front of us, but we have to, just like this series or this particular episode's talking about, we have to take care of that natural grocery store, if you want to call it that. But we have to take care of it, but you also have to know it's there and go about doing it the right way. And, you know, I think if, again, going back to the G of YSWG, and you get the knowledge, whether it be your own research or from someone that already knows what they're doing, it's going to open a lot of things to you, you know, health-wise.
Absolutely. Well, let's watch some more of this.
Okay.
At San Diego State, Milt Shedd came to me and said that we need to do something to rebuild the stocks of fish off the coast of San Diego. We looked at what CCA was doing with the Texas Parks and Wildlife folks with red drum, and we said, wow, if they can do it with red drum, then we can probably do it with white sea bass. This program is really about creating something for the future of fishing. And the recreational community and the conservation ethic that they engender is a critical component to the overall success of the program.
I'm going to look back 10 years from now and look at what Hubs is going to be able to accomplish in that area. Not just for the Hubs Seaworld Research Institute, not just for California, not just for the U.S., but for the world in developing the proper techniques for marine aquaculture. And I think we can do it there, and that's what we're after.
We could produce 100 times the current level of seafood production from offshore aquaculture. There's that line from the Mary Oliver poem, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?" And I like to paraphrase that. What will we do with our one wild and precious planet?
Fortunately, for sport anglers, finding and connecting with conservation-minded organizations that are committed to the planet, as well as to the sport of fishing, is now as simple as logging on to the American Sport Fishing Association site at asafishing.org.
What goes on in Washington is not what we see on TV every day, but in fact it's the work that gets done behind the scenes by organizations like ASA.
The opportunity to have my voice for my industry heard and represented.
It's really getting to take a look at all the pieces and then bringing it together with how we can come together with our political leadership and see what types of solutions we can forge with that type of cooperation.
So many times we send an email or we deal with somebody in the local area, but unfortunately word never gets to the people that really make the decisions.
60 million people fish in the United States, and as a result we have a pretty big voice here, but that voice doesn't get heard unless each of us takes the time to come to Washington and share what needs to happen for the good of our industry.
Trying to constantly educate the political leaders about the challenges we face and the opportunities we see, and ultimately the benefits that we bring.
It's such a symbiotic relationship. It's not just manufacturers, it's not just retailers. We are completely lost without each other in this process.
The ASA is a national authority on these issues and stands together with over 900 different local, state, and national organizations that support the health and growth of sport fishing. Their Keep America Fishing program acts as a collective resource and who's who in fishing conservation work and legislation affecting all of us. This work takes manpower and money. Fortunately, modern angling entrepreneurs are mobilizing corporate resources and showing an unprecedented level of leadership, vision, and generosity. In Johnny Morris's case, he has spent 50 years helping to build America's largest conservation movement in history. He turned his Bass Pro Shops empire into a successful business model of engaging and educating consumers about environmental issues, and then created a working partnership with them to give back to hundreds of conservation causes.
You know, it's amazing how much Bass Pro Shop over the years has done for conservation. Without a doubt, Johnny Morris is the #1 conservationist, not only in America, but in the world, in the history of the world. He's done more to make fishing and hunting better than anybody, and he's done a goodly part of that with his own money.
The things that Johnny Morris has done, he's really taken the bull by the horn. So many projects that the general public doesn't even know about that Johnny's involved in to try to make hunting, fishing, the whole conservation picture so much better for everybody. And it's a huge role. If you're involved in the outdoors, you really need to help Johnny support conservation.
Time means different things to you at different times in your life. I mean, when you're young and it's the beginning, you don't see the end of time. But at some point, you reach the realization that you're closer to the end than the beginning. And so time takes on a whole nother meaning and a whole nother value. As I look at this generation of fly fishers, you know, who are jetting around the world and making catches that were undreamed of and doing things with fly rods that you never dreamed, it's wonderful. I love seeing that. But I'm fearful that if they don't spend more time and energy looking into the future and including and somehow finding a way to engage youth, it'll all go away in a generation or two. It'll be gone. But what's worse than that is that all the resources and the habitat that we've held dear will be at some point turned over to a generation of people who have no touchstones to the natural world, have no way to appreciate it, have no way to love it, and if they don't love it, it'll never be protected.
It is the children of these families who love and treasure the outdoors that hold the future of sport fishing in their hands. The hard-fought and sometimes costly lessons we have learned through the first 2 centuries of sport fishing must now be carefully passed on to those who follow. Give your children and our planet a chance to flourish once again in all of the wonders that nature has to offer. It is only by teaching our children to be stewards of the history, the resources, and the valuable life lessons that can be found at the end of a line that we can ensure the future of sport fishing.
So much going on these days. Forget about instinct. That's not what pays. Pleasure up and down my smile. I know these things. It's all worthwhile. Tell me, Spirit, what has not been done? I'll rush out and do it, or are we doing it now? Vision is the thrill of the day. Forget about feeling. That's not what pays. But you know, all of this can change. Remember the promise as a kid you made. We are the innovators. They
What a perfect way to end with that little boy and his dad. That's what it's all about. That is exactly what it's all about. And that was a perfect ending. Absolutely. So I can't tell you how much this show means to me. I've watched it so many times from beginning to end, and it just means everything to me because this is my life. This is my history. And Michael broke it down and put it into this perfect docuseries that resembles my life. And I know it resembles Kevin's life, and it is Michael's life.
Yeah.
So, gang, please go out there and stream it and go watch it. It is absolutely spectacular, beginning to end.
Well, thank you, David. Appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely. And, you know I've said it, but I'm getting to see pieces of the history of this thing that saved my life that I had no idea about, so I get a deeper dive in it, and I'm now becoming part of the history of fishing in my own way. And so it's been very cool to see the beginnings of this passion of mine, and now be able to say, hey, you need to go check this out and learn the history of where this sport came from and everything that's involved with it. So thank you for putting this together for my generation and future generations after me to take a look back and see that fishing just isn't this little silly thing. There is truly a national and human history to fishing. So thank you for putting it together and making it available.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. It's truly been an honor to be in a position to be able to assimilate all that and put it together. It's been a culmination of my life's work, I think. So I'm very proud of it. I really appreciate you guys letting me know that you like it, because sometimes I get locked in this little cave and I can't tell if it's any good or not. So thank you. I appreciate all the feedback and support from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
And I'm
absolutely. So in a production sense, what would you like to see as the creator of this series? What would you like to see as kind of a follow-on of the next generation's capturing in the fishing world? What would you like to see the future of sport fishing be?
Well, I think we covered it, Kevin, and that we as individual anglers, and we lose sight of how important we are as individuals in the masses of social media today. We just don't think our voice is relevant. We don't think what we do is relevant. We don't think how we act is relevant. We don't think what we do on the water is relevant. And it is. It's so relevant. Every single one of us makes a difference on the water. And I think as more and more people expand their education, if you will, get a little bit more knowledge about how to handle fish if you're going to release them, how to handle fish if you're going to keep them and process them so you get really good grade meat or you get a good healthy release. I think as we continue, and Dave and you both continue to educate your clients and other people about the responsibilities that we have as individuals, I think it's going to make a huge difference as a whole. So I think ultimately my goal would be to inspire every person individually to teach their children, their children's children, or their friends' children to respect and admire and appreciate the beauty and the nature that's around us and what a gift it is. I mean, God has given us probably the most fertile planet, the most fertile country in the world when it comes to natural resources, both, forest and stream and field. It's just a gift. And I appreciate the gift, defend it, fight for it, and then and help protect it for generations to come.
absolutely. I think that the way that this film was put together tells us exactly what Michael expects of us moving forward. And it resonates. I'm going to go back to the sand bass thing that we all thought we were doomed and that we didn't have a chance, but we all came together. And I don't want to take the credit for it because it was all of you, but like Michael said, our voice is being heard nowadays. And I think if we all just combine our efforts and stay united, there will be fishing in our future.
I do too. We've got to fight for it. And you've got to let your voice be heard.
Because I don't think any of those people that want to close fishing they're never going to watch your docuseries anyway.
They've never fished a day in their lives.
But they don't even go outside. But they
don't get off their keyboards.
Yeah, but they believe that there's something wrong with fishing, which we know is the farthest thing from the truth. So
yes, sir.
Just keep educating the people, and I'm super excited about the episode we're going to watch next week. But gang, I want to tell you something. Leave a comment on this show if you've got some episode of Inside Sport Fishing that you definitely want us to watch together and have the watch party next week with whatever episode of Inside Sport Fishing you can think of that you want to see. Leave the comments right here and we will watch it. And you guys can ask Michael all the questions you want. We're just going to keep the history of sport fishing going with the history. 30 years he made that show. He made it. It was the longest running show on Fox Sports West.
Correct.
It ran for a very
show in Fox Sports West history.
And it ran for a very long time, and it painted our life in the 50s, 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. It all molded for Michael's show, and we were there. But I think we all got to come together and tell them what episode do we want to watch. And I need to know in the next couple of days what episode you guys want to watch. And whatever episode it is, we're going to put it together and we're going to play it on here, because now that Elliot's got control of all of the masters, for say, of your tapes, I am super excited because Elliot and I kind of work together
a little bit.
So it'll be fun to watch it. It'll be fun. And number one, Dave Burris is voting for the first episode, number one, which is playing right now.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me on, Dave. Kevin, it's great to see you back. Glad you had a wonderful trip. And I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, thank you all for your support.
Yeah.
It means the world to me.
We'll see you next week,
Absolutely.
Kevin. We'll see you next week, Michael. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. And turn off the news. They're all lying. We'll be with Okuma tomorrow. Have a great day.